Directive Principles of State Policy, DPSPs. Part -2. The 44th Amendment Act of 1978. The 44th Amendment Act of 1978 added one new directive principle as shown below. 44th Amendment 1978. The 44th Amendment Act of 1978 created a new DPSP under Article 38, which mandates the state to reduce inequalities in income, status, facilities, and opportunities. The 86th Amendment Act of 2002. The 86th Constitutional Amendment Act of 2002 made two changes: W.R.T. DPSPs. Changed the subject matter of Article 45. The amended directive requires the state to provide early childhood care and education for all children until they complete the age of 6 years. Made elementary education a fundamental right under Article 21A. The 97th Amendment Act of 2011. The 97th Amendment Act of 2011 added a new directive principle as listed below. 97th Amendment 2011. The 97th Amendment Act of 2011 created a new DPSP for cooperative societies under Article 43b. Why directive principles were made non-justiciable in nature. The framers of the Constitution deliberately kept the directive principles of the state policy non-justiciable. Some of the prominent reasons behind this are as follows. Two categories of rights. The discussions and debates in the Constituent Assembly led to the decision that the rights of an individual should be divided into two categories: justiciable, incorporated in the form of the fundamental rights, and non-justiciable, incorporated in the form of the directive principles. Insufficient financial resources. At the time of independence, the nation lacked adequate financial resources to fully implement them. Foreseen hurdles. The presence of immense diversity and socio-economic backwardness across the country were seen as significant challenges to their effective implementation. Need for flexibility. The newly born nation had numerous pressing priorities. Making the directive principles legally enforceable could potentially overwhelm the state's capacities. Criticism of directive principles of state policy. Non-justiciability. The non-justiciable character of the DPSPs means that most of them have remained merely as pious declarations. Illogically arranged. DPSPs are neither properly classified nor logically arranged based on a consistent philosophy. The way they are arranged mixes up relatively unimportant issues with the most vital socio-economic issues and modern issues with old issues. Conservative in nature. Critics argue that the directives are mostly based on the political philosophy of 19th-century England and are not suitable for 21st-century India. Ignoring social realities. Some argue that DPSPs fail to address the complexities of India's diverse socio-economic realities, resulting in policies that may not effectively address the needs of all citizens. Constitutional conflict. They lead to several kinds of constitutional conflicts as can be seen below. Between center and the states, the center can give directions to the state governments regarding the implementation of these principles, and in case of non-compliance, can dismiss the concerned state government. Between the President and Parliament, the President may reject a bill that violates any DPSP. Between the Governor and state legislature, the Governor of a state may reject a bill that violates any DPSP. Utility of directive principles of state policy. Despite some criticisms, the directive principles hold significance and utility for the following reasons. Instrument of instructions. They function as instruments of instructions, or general recommendations to all authorities within the Indian Union, and remind them of the aim of building a new socio-economic order. Framework for state actions. They constitute the overarching framework, guiding all actions, legislative and executive, undertaken by the state. Aid judiciary. They help the judiciary in determining the constitutional validity of a law. Thus, they act as guiding lights to the courts. Help realize constitutional objectives. They elaborate upon and aim to realize the ideals envisaged in the preamble: justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity, for all citizens of India. Stability and consistency in policies. They facilitate stability and consistency in both domestic and foreign policies across political, economic, and social spheres. Supplement fundamental rights. They supplement the fundamental rights by filling the vacuum in Part 3 by providing for social and economic rights. Help realize socioeconomic democracy. By striving to establish socioeconomic democracy, these principles create a conducive environment for citizens to enjoy their fundamental rights fully and properly. Challenges in implementation of DPSPs. Lack of accountability. Due to their non-binding nature, critics argue that there is a lack of accountability in ensuring compliance with DPSPs, allowing governments to neglect their obligations. Political expediency. There is criticism that governments often prioritize short-term political gains over the long-term objectives outlined in DPSPs, undermining their significance. Inadequate financial resources. Lack of sufficient financial resources is one of the prominent reasons holding the government from the fuller implementation of the DPSP. Challenges in implementation of DPSPs. Lack of accountability. Due to their non-binding nature, critics argue that there is a lack of accountability in ensuring compliance with DPSPs, allowing governments to neglect their obligations. Political expediency. There is criticism that governments often prioritize short-term political gains over the long-term objectives outlined in DPSPs, undermining their significance. Inadequate financial resources. Lack of sufficient financial resources is one of the prominent reasons holding the government from the fuller implementation of the DPSP. Thank you.